Hi everybody, and again, welcome to SDI Coffee Break. We're back with Jeff Rumburg from Metricnet. Hi Jeff.
Hi David, how are you?
Yeah, good, very good. Luckily the coffee coma didn't happen, so I'm still waiting for it. We'll see what happens. Do you know on the last one, it was quite a long one last one if I remember rightly, Jeff, that's the last session, but we did talk about the trends in what the industry thinks channels and support channels are going to look when you blend them, and what actually happens when you're an end user, which is really, really interesting. And you talked about the experience of that. And when you're in a situation when you're changing your support proposition in an organization by blending stuff, surely you've got to involve the end user, the customer, the citizen, whatever you want to call it, in understanding their requirements and needs. It isn't just about new technology and more efficiencies, cheaper, better SLAs, is it? It's about much, much more than that, softer. We also talked about skills in the last one as well. And you mentioned something which you talked about in conference this year too, which is about the number one skill that is required in organisation these days. And you coupled that, you sort of talked in a whole way about business skills. So let's just talk about that, right? So we know where we are right now. We understand that in an organisation, we talked about earlier about this swarming thing of people with multiple hats, and maybe the demise of the SME becomes more of a spread out thing maybe. In that environment, what is a business skill? What would I need as a service support specialist in 5 or 6 years' time? What skills will I need as a business skill that I might not have now?
The first thing is a holistic view of service and support that takes into account the complete spectrum of support options from level -2, which we consider to be search and destroy. You go out and you look for incidents before they become incidents, and you eliminate them before they show up, all the way to vendor support. So you have this holistic end-to-end view of service and support. You also understand the difference between tactical measures of success, which would include, as you just mentioned, better, faster, cheaper. So quality measures like customer satisfaction, Net Promoter Score, customer effort score, cost measures like cost per ticket, cost per contact, cost per minute of handle time, and cycle time measures like mean time to resolve, average speed of answer, call abandonment rate, for example. Those are very tactical measures, and you need those to run service and support on a day-to-day basis. But having a more holistic view means that you take into account the economic benefits, the economic value of service and support. You understand ROI and how ROI is generated. So ROI is not just an abstraction to those that think and act like businesses. They come at service and support from a business perspective, which is how do we create value? How do we leverage metrics to unlock that value? How do we become more proactive and less reactive? How do we generate awareness of what we do? That is what I would call marketing. And what is the importance of process in terms of driving performance? Business acumen, business awareness means that you have to understand those 5 principles and you operate from that perspective. So you get away from the tactical day-to-day firefighting. You operate from a strategic perspective where the number one overriding objective is to create economic value. And the first principle there is that your job is to make users more productive. So your average user now has more than 3 devices, and when they don't work the way they're supposed to, productive time is lost. If you can reduce that cycle time, eliminate the number of incidents that users or citizens experience, return a significant number of productive hours to the average end user on an annual basis. So David, I would say it's an awareness, it's a broader awareness, a holistic view of service and support that takes into account an understanding of how value is created, leveraging metrics diagnostically and prescriptively. It is understanding the process performance paradigm, understanding that process is what drives performance. It's being proactive and preventive. And then finally, it is propagating a positive outbound message. It's marketing yourself internal to the organization.
That's a really great answer, Jeff. Really great answer. I think you're absolutely right. And I've done a little bit of research on this recently about the skills required sort of now and what we may require in a few years as well. So you talked about the paradigm, and it's a paradigm shift, isn't it? Going from somebody who's a technical specialist into a business specialist. And we may have those sort of functions in the business already, but again, leveling the playing field a little bit and having a more holistic team sort of approach to those types of skill set. Not just fixing stuff, but what that means from a business context as well. Not only contextually, but it means some value. You're actually trying to find value using those skills. And what's really interesting, I think, is business skills and soft skills. You said soft skills last time, and I think a lot of people still think that soft skills are how polite you are, how empathetic you are, how to develop a customer relationship through managing the expectations of the customer. And I think that's all right. Yeah, it is right. But I think softer skills have always been a bit wider than that. I think, and there is a bridge between soft skills and business skills. And if you look at the World Economic Forum 2022 Skills Outlook, right? It's quite interesting. It sort of talks about the declining skills and the growing skills. And I'll just read a couple of these out, right? So declining skills, technology installation and maintenance. That's a declining skill by 2022. I'll read another one out as well. Coordination and time management is a declining skill. What growing skills, and these are some of the stuff I'm talking about if you look at that sort of softer thing, right? Because I see these as softer as well as maybe a crossover into business. Analytical thinking, innovation, active learning strategies, creativity, originality, initiative. Now, if you take away, as you said earlier, if you take away the low-hanging sort of stuff that we deal with, all this stuff that's going to be automated, then these skills, these are pretty much business skills. Creativity, problem solving. I mean, problem solving is number one. That's a business skill now. It's not just a sort of nice to have anymore, is it? It's actually a skill that you need to practice. What are you seeing in that space, Jeff? In again, in a similar like, if you like for like in business and softer skills, what skills are you seeing are becoming more predominantly required?
I think, David, you summarized it very well. The skills that are in greater demand today in service and support are more subjective. It is the ability to look at an organization holistically. It is the ability to understand how economic value is created. So historically, if you were good at technology and had halfway decent soft skills, like you said, empathy, being able to make a connection, the so-called bedside manner with the customer, you were probably very effective as a service and support professional. A skill set that will be valued in the future is much more holistic. It's much more business focused. And that is why one of the things we see, David, in recruiting now is psychometric testing.
Yes. Yeah.
Everyone knows that this is a very high turnover industry. And one of the reasons it's high turnover is because it's very difficult to test for goodness of fit, meaning is a candidate going to work well in a support environment? They might have all the technical skills, they might have the soft skills, but what happens on a Monday morning when you've got 100 calls in queue or 100 chats in queue? Are they going to hold up under the pressure? Psychometric testing is designed to help identify goodness of fit. In other words, does the individual's personality fit well in the environment that they are expected to perform in?
Yeah.
And that gets to the business skills. And so what we're seeing is that turnover among those organizations that engage in psychometric testing during the recruiting process is about half of what the turnover is on an annual basis of those organizations who do not use psychometric testing. So historically, it's let's test for soft skills, let's test for technical skills, and if you pass both those tests, we're going to put you on the support test. But no one understands why the turnover rate is so high. It wasn't until psychometric testing became mainstream within the last 5 years or so that we started to see much better fits, much better goodness of fit between the candidate and those support professionals that were turning over at less than half the rate. And it turns out that the psychometric skills, in addition to looking for goodness of fit, do they have the personality to do this job? The skill sets that they're finding are very much the same as those that are required from a business perspective. So the psychometric testing and the business skill sets are going hand in hand, David. And the successful professionals in the future of service and support are likely going to go through some psychometric testing to test for goodness of fit. But the number one strength they're going to have is this business perspective of service and support. It goes without saying, you got to have the soft skills, you got to have the technical skills. But now the bar has been raised significantly with the expectation that those that work in service and support are going to have a business perspective and are going to treat this job as a business within a business.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? And you wonder then if you look at an organisation where those skills are already in place, maybe in other areas outside IT. You wonder if those skills are transferable into IT, and whether or not, if you look at an organisation in 5 to 10 years, whether we'll be in a position where those skills have converged, where the teams have converged, where support services have converged. So it's IT is almost an invisible thing. IT support is almost an invisible thing, and the organisation is an organisation. Yeah, which is interesting. I'm going to finish, before we finish this one, number 10 on the declining skills for 2022, technical use, monitoring and control. Isn't that interesting? That's 30 years of IT service management frameworks and stuff like that. Really interesting, really interesting.
Prologue, I made that point at the SDI conference. Other industries and learn lessons from other industries that have gone through this transformation, if you will, and connect the dots, and we can see where service and support is going. But it's technical monitoring, for example, is that's all automated now. A lot of data starts, a lot of knobs or lights out. You don't need technicians, you don't need personnel to monitor those anymore. So skill, I think this is really good news, David, for the people that work in service and support, because it represents a career path and a challenge that would not exist.
Do you know, we'll come on to it in the next one, right? But just maybe to finish this one, the IT organisation and the organisation, the IT business and the business, it's always been two separate sort of bedfellows, and we all know it should never have been. And that's just the way that we've developed it as an industry, as a community, whatever you want to call it. And I think there's an opportunity to put right some of the stuff that may not be right at the minute, you know. Anyway, we're going to close on that. Thank you again, Jeff. We'll catch up in the next one where we'll ponder some more on some of this amazing stuff. So thank you for joining us, and thanks for everybody for listening. Thank you.
Thank you.